Hello, sisters. Welcome to the Art of Spiritual Living online retreat, where we are exploring lots of different ways to tune inward, connect with our intuition, and awaken inspiration. I am so excited to share today's speaker with you today because she is my mentor and teacher. But before we get started, let's just get grounded and get present so we can really get the most out of this session. So first step is just to get your physical space ready. So go ahead and put that do not disturb sign on the door, turn off your phone and your other apps so you can just really be present. Today you're going to want to have some creative goodies with you because Amber is going to be guiding us in some creative exploration, and you're going to want to have some markers or some watercolors, whatever just feels good for you that you have on hand is going to work today. It's all up to you. And let's go ahead and take a moment to get present mentally. So if you've been watching some of the other videos, you know that the way I like to do that is by chanting Om. But if you're new, I'm going to guide you through that really quick. So Om is the sacred sound of the universe. It is the beginning sound of the universe. And whether you believe in all that or not, you know, we can still use the sound and our breath to just tune inward. So when we chant Om, it's actually a 3-part sound. So it's going to sound a little like this. First, we're going to start with the O sound with an open mouth, and you're going to feel that right here in your neck. You want to feel that vibration. So that's going to sound like this. Oh. And then there's going to be the Oo sound, which is more of a closed mouth, and you're going to feel that here in your neck. Ooh. And then the last part is the and you're going to feel that down here in your chest. You want to feel that vibration. So when we put that all together, it's going to sound like this. Om. And what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to invite you to just close your eyes with me. We're going to tune into our breath, and then we'll inhale together. And as we exhale, we'll chant Om. We'll inhale again, and as we exhale, we'll chant Om, and we'll do that 3 times. So I'm going to invite you now to just close your eyes with me. Take some deep breaths. Just let your attention come into this moment, focusing on your breath, feeling your chest rising and falling. Now let's inhale together, and as we exhale, we'll chant Om. Om. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. We are ready to dive in. So we have with us today Amber Kuileimailani Bonnici. I have been practicing her name, and I'm sure I still didn't get it right. But anyway, she is an intuitive creativity coach and a creative business mentor. Amber helps women access their creative power. She supports creatives, artists, authors, teachers, healers, creative business owners to get their message out into the world through her live events and year-long coaching programs. Amber is the host of the Women Unleashed Retreats, an online event that gathers tens of thousands of women each year. She began painting in 2010, and within 3 years, her award-winning artwork was featured in solo shows in the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women and Human Rights, an Artist Perspective. Amber supports her online global community of 25,000 plus women to spread their creativity throughout the world. When she's not teaching or coaching, you'll find her on the big island of Hawaii painting, dancing hula, or hanging with her husband and boys. And Amber is my mentor and creative teacher, and I wouldn't be here today doing this if it wasn't for her. So I just want to kind of give her a great big shout out. Thank you for everything that you've done for me, and thank you so much for joining us today. I am excited to dive into some creativity. But before we get started, I want to ask you, Amber, what does spiritual living mean to you?
First of all, I love you, Elizabeth. Love. It's so fun to do this. You're gonna be like, oh yay. get to be all professional on camera. It's fun. So, spiritual living, right?
Yes.
It's funny that I said creative living because I actually think that creative living and spiritual living are kind of the same thing, actually. I believe that spiritual living is really listening to the deeper spaces, right? To listening to your things that you feel called towards and then taking action on those things. And so it can be as simple as, being in line at the grocery store and being really present and feeling the nudge to smile at someone, right? Or it can be, feeling the urge to create or paint or birth something in the world, to, like this online retreat like that you're doing, Elizabeth, and to be like, you know what? It's more than just about you, right? It's about the bigger thing. So when I think of spiritual living, it's about being in the moment, and it's about listening to the nudges, your soul nudges, and taking action on those things.
Yeah, I love that. It's been really interesting asking all the different speakers what spiritual living means to them, because I think that some people have this idea that spiritual living means that we have to like sit in an ashram and om for hours or something, and what I'm hearing from everybody over and over again is it's really about how we're moving through life and living in the moment, every moment. So
I think about, like, for me, when I've thought about spiritual living, like I've thought, especially when my kids were really young, I'm like, it would be so nice just like go on a silent retreat and not be around anyone and just like to just kind of tune everything out. But here's the deal. And what I'm saying might be a little bit controversial, but I actually think that we've got it harder, right? Like they're like in silent, in a cave, like in their, like they're surrounded by their people, but it's like we have life to live at the same time. So it's looking at like, how do we infuse our connection to spirit, like throughout our life, like into our relationship with my kids. Like the other day when my son like didn't do his dishes, I'm like, I'm like, okay, patience, right? Those monks are not having the kids not doing their dishes, right? So I think that we get to like have like, we get like an extra workout for us over here living not in ashrams, but what a gift that this retreat is, because it's like this retreat is a moment when you talk about like going off. That's kind of what we're doing. It's like, but we're going in, right? We're kind of creating our own little spiritual sanctuary here where we can be like, oh yeah, that's right. This is what we're doing. This is what's really important, being around these people so that we can infuse spirit throughout our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. That is such a part of why I wanted to put this retreat together, is because, we don't all have time to run off to the woods for 2 weeks. We've got to figure out ways to incorporate spiritual practice and a spiritual life into our everyday life. And so, sometimes that's just like setting aside this 30-40 minutes to explore a spiritual practice, which Amber, tell us a little bit more about what you have in mind for us today. I know that for you, spirituality and creativity they go hand in hand, just as they do for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do lots of different things, but my idea for you today, just so you know, like, just as Elizabeth said in the beginning, like whatever you got is totally good. Like I got crayons here, if I decide to use crayons, sorry, it's loud. I've got markers, I've got some watercolors. So whatever we're doing, just use what you got. Okay. Even if you just have a pencil, or it's totally fine. But for me, when I think of my own practice, what I do every day is I do a combination, right? So I do some sort of practice for me to get present in my body, whether it's through breath or through a meditation. I like to meditate as well. And then I like to do some sort of creativity. And so sometimes, so there's that tuning inwards part, right? Either the meditation or prayer or breath, whatever I'm doing to get present. And like the silence and stillness part. And then there's the part of like kind of just opening up. Like I think like I feel like prayer is, talking to God, but like I feel like what I do then is I listen to God, right? Or to spirit, right? I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna like open up the doorways and hear what needs to come in. And the best way for me to do that is to get out of my own way, right? And one way I do that is through creativity. I start to just kind of, you can do everything from play with color to, one of the practice that we're going to do today, you could do that every day for like the next 30 days and have like amazing, awesome connection to spirit by doing this. Right. So doing some sort of creative practice. And then for me, part of my creative practice is also if noticing if I'm getting like what the message is, right? Or what I'm feeling nudged towards, right? So there's the beginning where I'm speaking, more, I'd say, as far as holding space and just kind of leaving it open. Then it's listening to what needs to come in, what Spirit's saying, and then taking action on that. So, that's kind of like the way that I work as my spiritual practice. So it's not just about listening, but it's also about taking action on what Spirit tells me to do. It's not just about, telling Spirit what I want, but it's like, oh, okay, I need to hear, and there needs to be dialogue. It's communication, right? It's two-way street.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that definitely resonates. It takes that both, that slowing down and tuning inward, and then, but the listening too is so important. That's how we tune into our intuition, is by creating that space and then listening for those messages.
Totally. Yeah. So do you want to do our sacred creative practice right now?
Do it.
Sometimes I do a sacred dance party also. Sacred dance party. But you already have sacred dance party people, so I'm not going to get in their space today. I'll do it.
I do. Yes. We have a little sacred dance. This is true.
That's awesome. Okay.
That was a little squishy for me, but we got it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I've had sessions where I've done the online retreat where I'm like, this is uncomfortable. But okay. So let's first just get present. I love how Elizabeth started us off oming, but I'm just going to take you through like exactly what I do. So if you imagine like getting up in the morning, like this is my practice, you can totally hijack it with love and like go for it. Okay. Take it and run. All right. Oh, so get comfortable. And then just first noticing if there's anything that's come from before this moment that's on your mind or that you're thinking about, any leftover energy. Let's inhale in. Exhale and let that go. Noticing if there's anything to come that you're thinking about or that you're multitasking in your mind, anything like that. Let's inhale in and exhale and let that go. And our third and final breath, inhaling, smelling this moment, this time together. And release. So I'm just going to take a moment and put my hand on my heart and on my belly, my womb. And just breathe a little bit. Just opening the listening door. And just taking some time to open up in prayer or just asking if there's something that you're seeking. Thinking if there's some question that you're trying to figure out or trying to figure out what to do around some topic, or there's some clarity that you're wanting around something. Go ahead and set an intention for what you want for this practice today. So it could be something like, I'm having trouble talking to my kid. What's something that I can do? Or I really want to lose weight and I can't figure out what's going on. I'd like some more information about that. Or I want to create a daily practice and life keeps getting in the way. What do I need to know about that? When you're ready, opening your eyes. Okay. I was like, what am I doing? So I'm just making sure I know what I'm doing today. What are you doing? Would you be willing to share, Elizabeth, your intention?
Yeah, my intention is to know how I can more connect with and serve the people who are coming here to the retreat.
Awesome. Mine is about how to be in more alignment with it's like my creativity, my business world and mom world, and wife world. It's like there's all these different places, and it's like, how do I bring them all into alignment? So all right. So I'm gonna just bring my computer back here, my camera. So if you get motion sick, watch out. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I'm gonna bring you down so you can come down and check out my workspace today. Voila. Okay, so I'm just gonna open up my journal. Today I've got, like I said, I got my watercolor pan here.
And I'm just a marker girl.
You're a marker girl, awesome.
Actually, Amber turned me. Oh, go ahead.
I recognize some Tombos.
Yeah, these are Tombos. Amber turned me on to these. In my opinion, they're the best markers in the world now. But, so it's hard to get me to use anything else. Yeah.
So one thing I like to do when I'm doing my practice is I like to leave space for spirit to move, meaning I don't like fill it all up. And so one of the things I do is I pull out I don't just have one art supply. Like I have I have my markers here, I have some crayons, and I have some watercolors, and we'll see what I end up using. I don't even know, okay? So you've set your intention, and the next thing I do is I just lay my hands on where the area I'm going to be working. I'm going to work actually this whole page today. And I just imagine like infusing the page with my intention and my love of what I'm creating. Imagine that intention that you want, just kind of laying it in there. All right. And I'm going to ask you, if you're someone that forgets, if you're like, you're going to like later be like, I forgot what my intention even was. Just write that down so you can remember what it was. And you can, if you wanted to, if you had a pencil, you can write it down here. I'm actually just going to use a marker underneath what I'm doing. Because here's to letting go of perfection. Okay. So I just wrote that right across my page. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the next thing I want you is to grab a marker or a crayon, whatever you got. And I want you just to go ahead and, with your marker, do a nice little scribble.
Amber, do you do yours with your eyes closed or open?
Open, but I just let my hand move.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I came up with. Let's scribble. All right. And the next step in this process is I want you to start taking your journal or your paper, and I want you to start flipping it until you see something. Yep, just found mine. And you might have to keep flipping around for a while. Part of listening to spirit is like the listening part, so don't overanalyze stuff, okay? So don't be like, oh, I had that idea, but maybe it's not good enough, right? So just choose the first thing that comes to you. Like if you see it, you're like, oh, it looks like that. Okay? And the next step once you've done that is you get to color it in, whatever your thing is, and to make it look more like your thing. Okay? So for example, this to me looks like a crown. All right, so now I'm going to color it in and make it look all crownly. Crown, that's not even a word, but you know what I mean. Crownalicious. And so at this point, it's just about letting go and getting out of your mind and just start going for it. One thing I like to do is to feel what I'm using. So if I've got, like right now I have a crayon in my hand, to feel the crayon actually in my hand, to like feel the sensation. You'd even smell it. It doesn't smell so great, but this one's okay. It's a wax crayon actually. Not Crayola today. Noticing also if you're getting uptight at all, like feeling like either I don't know what my thing is or it doesn't look pretty or any of that. Like that's the point. We're doing a scribble drawing because it's not supposed to look necessarily pretty. But if you're starting to notice that, you know, take a breath and release your shoulders. That's going to help. I'm all wondering what everyone's getting on their drawing. I can't wait to hear all about this. What signs are you seeing? Just a note on scribble drawings. Scribble drawings have been around. This is like your little fact. Scribble drawings have been around like since the I think it was the 1930s. And been used like for art therapy for a long time. But what's really cool is that today we're not using it for therapy. We're using it for connection. Oh, connection to our spirit.
Well, I'd love to share a little bit about what I've got going on over here. And
wondering.
So I've got this sort of starting to take shape. It's a sitting person with wings and no head. And I have to say, and part of why I wanted to share it is because I had this moment going, well, I see this person, this cross-legged sitting person, but there's no head, and I can't put a head there because it's right where the wires are in the middle of the journal. And so there was this moment where I wanted to say, well, then that's not what's there. And so I appreciate your encouragement to just trust that first thing you see, because I can already see that part of its message to me is getting out of my head.
You're jumping ahead, Elizabeth.
I'm jumping ahead. I'm sorry.
I love it. Yes. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, it's so interesting. Like, you know, I've taught scribble drawing for a long time. And this is just one thing I want to say just about art or anything, frankly, is that everything, there's a relation, a connection between everything. Meaning, like the way that you're showing up right now is the way that you're showing up in your relationship to spirit. Like if you are sitting there and you are questioning, is this even right? You know, do I have this right? Like I want you to think about, do I do this with spirit? Where I maybe get a nudge and then I question. I don't take it, you know, the first thing I hear. Right? Or if you're being really hard on yourself, being like, this is so ugly or whatever you've got, you know, going, I want you to think about where that's showing up in other areas. You know, with you or your relationship with spirit, are you really hard on yourself and say that you're not doing good enough all the time? Or in relationships where you're either being hard on yourself or being really hard on other people? So I want you just to notice, like right now, when you're doing your work, when you're doing this together, are there other areas this shows up, this what you're doing? And it can be a painful and it can also be a really beautiful question. I'm going to switch now to, I colored in my crown, and so now I'm going to switch to some watercolor, and I'm just going to paint like around my crown, just because I want to put some color there. So whatever you've got going, if you've done your drawing and you're kind of done with that and you want to kind of play with, you know, what's going around, you know, the edge, you can decorate the rest of your page. And let yourself just be an intuitive play, meaning don't try to figure it out. Just do what the colors that feel right and feel nice to you. There's no right or wrong. This is a scribble drawing. It's not like you're going to go sell this for tens of millions of dollars. You don't even have to show it to anyone ever again, right? This isn't about art for pretty. This is about how can you connect to your spirit at a deeper level. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. And so you keep going with what you're doing, right? You're in your own natural, beautiful time. Natural time. I'm going to share with you the next step. This is like a practice that I would do if I had like 20 to 30 minutes, yeah? And you might have already been getting information. Like Elizabeth, you already said you were starting to get some of the information of what this was about for you, right? But I want you to think about, like, what message is there for you in the symbol? Just give yourself a moment to listen first, not to try and figure it out, but just to listen. And if you find yourself in your head, just put your hand on your heart or on your womb and take a breath in and out. And see if you can listen deeper than your head into your sacred spaces. And what I'm going to do today, if you have a pen, you can go ahead and start to write your message in the spaces. You can do that. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Use my marker. And I'm going to imagine like this symbol has a message for me right now. And it's like I'm putting the pen in the hand of spirit and I'm letting it write to me what this is about. And what I'm going to do, because I'm just feeling called by Spirit to do this, is I wrote the message to here, but now I'm going to switch the pen color and I'm going to write just what's coming up for me personally about this. And this in regards to the message, as well as coming back to my original intention, right? So tuning back to your original intention, saying, what does this message have to do with your original intention? And this is just your writing. It's not about figuring out what it is, but it's like, what are your reflections on this? I'm getting all into it. This is the danger. So much fun. Get into it. Okay, so I'm going to share mine. Elizabeth, you can share yours. Just as far as reflection. And so for me, originally, I came up and I said, I'm going to pull this up so you can see my head. Hello, friends. I said, okay, our original intention, my intention was to look at how can I align all these different parts of myself into alignment, yeah? And what came to me was the crown, and the reminder was that I am the queen of my own life, and that I get to decide what I want to create. So first of all, it's that piece of self-responsibility for me. It's not about other people or other things that are happening to me. It's that I have the choosing. I'm the one that creates this, right? So that was one piece for me. And the other piece that came for me was that I have help all around me. The message that I got was that, a queen doesn't do it all on her own. A queen has people and advisors and all sorts of support. And I have support. And when I'm out of alignment, many times it's because I'm not accessing the support that's available to me. I'm trying to do it on my own. I'm really cutting myself off from support. So that was the message for me, and part of my, that's it. That's where I'm going so far. And then we'll go to the next. Elizabeth, where are you at?
It's great. All right, so here's my picture here. Yeah, and it's a lot about getting out of my head and staying grounded so that I can fly, which a lot of that is also about, because to me, I see this sitting person. I have to say I almost always see sitting people, like cross-legged sitting people when I do scribble drawings. And it's reminding me how important my personal daily practice of sitting meditation is, and how that keeps me grounded so that I can serve more people.
That's beautiful. Okay. So last step, everybody, is to then look at this, and I'm gonna go ahead and close my eyes, put my hand on my heart and on my belly. Just imagine opening to Spirit and asking Spirit, what is the one action that I'm meant to take towards this today? And when you're ready, opening your eyes and writing it down. And that's the place where it goes from it being just a spiritual practice to being a spiritual daily practice. That's when it enters into life.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't just the listening, isn't just me knowing, oh, I should open up to help more, or I should take more responsibility. No, it comes down to the first thing that came to me is send the email for someone who I'm hiring. Right. That's the spirit to form, that in-between place. What was it for you, Elizabeth?
Mine's really simple. It's just to sit, to do my meditation, even if it's only for a few minutes. Because of course, when I get the message, the first thing I think is, well, when am I going to do that? But yeah, it's, it only has to be for a moment, but I've got to do it.
Totally. Yeah. And so many times, like when it comes down to the action taking, it's not some grand thing. It's like a simple thing, like send the email, sit for 5 minutes, right? It's not like Spirit's asking us to go like, do whatever, which that sometimes happens. But I find when I get action, like information on action, it's not necessarily something big like that. It's the steps towards something big. It like snowballs, right, into something much larger. But most of the listening is just the small little steps in between. So I can't wait to hear what everybody's got. This is so fun. Can't wait to hear what your action is, folks. Yeah.
I want to see if you feel brave and want to share your scribble drawings or share with us your action, the message that you received today. Excited to see what you guys saw. And thank you so much, Amber. This was really great. I always love scribble drawing messages. There's always new information every time. Never gets old. So. Yeah. And Amber has a juicy free gift for everybody. So if you want to explore spiritual creativity a little bit more, Amber, tell us a little bit more about your free gift.
Yeah. So this gift is called Art for the Heart, and it's a 4-part at-home mini retreat. So you're doing a retreat now, but imagine really just infusing with creativity. So, during the retreat, we do everything from, we actually work one painting. So if you've never painted before or anything like that, you get to kind of play in that medium. You can use whatever you got as far as materials. So don't be afraid to kind of jump in, but we do that. There's some, meditation practice, there's inquiry, there is a dance party partway, through it, but it's a 4-part retreat. So you get 1 part for four different sessions. And each one has a different intention to help connect you to spirit in a different way. And so that's normally $250 value, but that is for you for free because I love you. And I want you just to retreat. Keep retreating. And if you want to do the creative process and connect to spirit that way, then it's a really great way for you to do that.
Yeah, and I really want to encourage, I know there's a lot of you that are creative, and I know that you'll get a lot out of this, but also if you're sitting there thinking like, I'm not creative, this isn't really for me, I want to encourage you to give it a chance because, we are all creative beings. We are all creations, and so we are all creative beings, and Amber is so great at helping people who don't think they're creative and have never picked up a paintbrush, have a really wonderful journey with creativity. So encourage you to check that out and share in the Facebook group. And thank you again so much for being with us today, Amber. It's been a pleasure.
I love you, Elizabeth, and I'll talk to you tomorrow because I talk to you every day.
Love you, Amber.